We are discussing open system interconnection 7-layer model. We are taking to open system. Open system means from that system we can get the data for the other systems and also for the communication between two open systems. One can share the file from this system to this system or from this system to this system. We are using this open system interconnection OSI model. In this OSI model communication process, we have functional layers. We are dividing this communication into 7 functional layers. We are starting with the application layer. This is the layer where the user can interact for the processing of the data. Example, if you want to send the email, that email will be, whenever we are sending the email, that directly we are accessing the application layer. Or when we want to transfer a file, or when we want to use the network software services, then the user is interacting with the application layer. This application layer acts like an interface for the network. We are sending the data, any one of these. Example, we are sending that email data, some data. The presentation layer will check whether that data is in proper format or not. So it will check for the syntax and semantics and it will encrypt the data. Whatever the data we have sent, that data will be encrypted. At the receiving side, the same data will be decrypted. So presentation layer function is to encrypt the data. The data is not changing, but only we are encrypting. Now in the session layer, it is establishing the communication between the source and the destination. How much time the communication should be there, whether for 1 minute or 2 minutes or for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, session layer will take care. Whether the communication is simplex mode, only from source to destination, or whether the communication is half duplex, source to destination and destination to source, but at a time only one-way communication, or whether the communication is full duplex mode, both sides the communication can happen simultaneously. That will be decided by the session layer. That's why session out, session timed out means it is deciding how much time the communication should be established between the two devices or between the two open systems. Next, there is a transport layer. In this transport layer, until there is no change in the data, only we have encrypted the data, the transport layer will divide the data into segments. Segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. Why it is dividing into segments? For easy transport. As the name suggests, the transport layer will take care of the communication from source to end. Whether if there is an error, it will take care about that error. Error control will be handled by the transport layer. And also, transport layer will check the flow of the data, with what speed the data has to go. That flow will be controlled by the transport layer. This data which is divided into segments, now we are sending into network layer. The network layer further divides these segments into packets. So whenever we come into a network, obviously we will discuss the data as a packets. So here in the network we discuss as a form of packets. Now the data is divided into packets. Network layer will take care the routing, means this data, where this data has to go, in which topology the data has to move. That will be handled by the network layer. Now next we are discussing about the data link layer. These packets, so these packets, the data link layer, it will further divide into frame. When it is dividing into frame, as the name suggests, data link. it will add the source address and it will also add the destination address from where this data is coming and to where this data should go. That will be added by the data link layer. So packets will be converted into frames. Now this data link layer, after converting the data into frames, it will send the data to the physical layer. This physical layer removes that header and tiler, and then raw bits information will be there. This raw bits information, this physical layer will send to the cable. That cable may be OFC cable or coax cable. Now the question comes. Here there is a problem. We are sending the raw bits, but mainly there are three problems. First problem is, source may think bit 1 means 5 volts, bit 0 means 0 volts. Destination may think bit 0 means 5 volts, bit 1 means 0 volts. Or destination may think bit 1 means 5 volts, bit 0 means 3.3 volts. Or destination may think bit 1 means 0 volts and bit 0 means minus 5 volts. The physical layer will take care the representation of the binary 1 and binary 0 that should be same at both source and destinations. That will be handled by the physical layer. Now there is another problem. Now we are sending this bit 1 and bit 0. Example, I have sent this bit 1 and this is bit 0. Again I am sending bit 1 1. This is 1 0 1 1. Source is thinking, at the source place, the physical layer is thinking, here it is, the bit 1 is there for 1 second. Example I am saying, 1 second, 1 bit we will not transmit. Example, for the purpose of understanding only I am considering this. Bit 0 1 second and bit 1 1 second and bit 1 1 second. Okay, but destination may think, example, it is handling half second. Each data it is handling for half second, or otherwise without confusing I may say like this, for 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. So each bit it is sending for 2 seconds at the source place. Destination place, the physical layer is thinking the bit interval is only 1 second. Now it will interpret the data as this is 1 and this is 1, because bit interval is 1 in the destination physical layer side. Now it will interpret this as a 0 0 and this is 1 1 1 1. Entire the data itself it is changing. Actually we have sent 1 0 1 1, but the destination side it is thinking the data is 1 1 0 0 1 1 1 1. Why this is happening? Bit interval we have not defined. So the physical layer will take care of the bit interval is same at the source side and the destination side. And also, as we discussed during the presentation layer and session layer, the communication we are establishing, whether it is simplex or half duplex or full duplex, according to that mode of communication, the raw bits will be sent through this wire. And these raw bits will be received by the physical layer again. Now this physical layer will add the header and tail. That data will be converted to frames. These frames, the data link layer, this will convert the frames into packets. And the network layer converts these packets into segments. And the transport layer converts these segments into final the combined data. And then this data will be decoded by the presentation layer, and finally application layer will show the email to the user. This is how OSI 7-layer model functional layers will work in order to establish the communication between the two open systems. Again we are discussing, we have started the process from the application layer. The user is sending some data in English. The application layer will handle this data and it will send the data to the presentation layer. It will check the compatibility in the semantics and syntax form and it will encrypt the data. After encrypting the data, it will send the data to the session layer. It will decide how much time the communication should be established between the source and the destination. And that data will be sent to the transport layer. Transport layer will divide the data into segments and it will take care about the entire error control and transmission flow. And the network layer will convert that segments into packets and it will take care about the routing, in what way the data should go. From there, the data link layer will convert that packets into frames. It will add the source and destination addresses. And then it will send to the physical layer. Physical layer converts that frame into bits. These raw bits will be sent through this wire, either OFC cable or coax cable. These raw bits will be received by the physical layer at the receiving end, and this physical layer adds the source and destination and it will convert into frames, and the data link layer converts these frames to packets, network layer converts these packets to segments, and transport layer converts these segments into data. And this data, session layer will check whether the communication time is there or not. If communication time is still there, if the communication traffic is there, then the data will be here only. If the traffic is not there, communication already established, it is perfectly smoothly going, then the session layer will send this data into presentation layer. Presentation layer decrypt the data. After decrypting the data, this will be received by the application layer. Now you tell me, error control will be handled by the which layer?
Transport layer.
Transport layer. Encryption of the data will be done in which layer?
Presentation layer.
Presentation layer. User can directly interact with which layer?
Application layer.
Raw bits to the wire. Which layer is sending raw bits to the wire?
Physical layer.
Physical layer. Okay. Which layer is checking about the syntax and semantics?
Presentation layer.
Which layer is controlling the data communication time between the source and destination? Session layer. Which layer is taking care of adding source and destination addresses?
Data linking layer.
From when we are checking from this side, source side, data link layer will do that. Okay? This is how. Which layer will take care about the transport of data and flow control of the data?
Transport layer.
Transport layer. This is about the functional layers of OSI 7-layer model.